The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Missouri Sports Network and the Missouri Milestones, the podcast, Season 1, Episode 8. This is July 10th. It's 8 a.m. in the morning. Certainly glad that you have tuned in. And, hey, do us a favor. Hey, pass this along to your friends and family. It's the summertime. We've kind of on downhill side of summer here following the 4th of July. But, hey, go in and subscribe to our YouTube page. Go and like us on Facebook and sign up to follow us on Twitter at playing_sports on X and at scoreboard guy on X. And you'll be the smartest fan in the stands. Presented by Doak Propane and the Bank of Billings. Bank of Billings established 1889, the oldest bank in Christian County. Also presented by Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks. We encourage you to stay alongside with us in the second segment, our third segment, I guess, of this. We'll have a commercial break and then another introduction as I got a chance to sit down with Andi Haney. But alongside is Kent Mueller. And Kent, it's been a lot of fun, hasn't it?
It's been a great time. Yes, there were many of these names that I knew. I should say some of these names, but there are so many of them that I didn't know them when they were playing. Some of them were before my time, and that, but they're all, from all parts of the state, all doing great things. And this is the one time that all of these athletes have the opportunity to be together on one platform, and that's what we're doing. And we're just going to keep building on that until we get more and more of the history fleshed out. And of course, we're not going to miss a single one going into the future. So we have almost 2,700, and that's just basketball, scoring 1,000 points, but either as a girl or as a boy in Missouri high school. So we're going. There's a lot of interest, and we just keep digging up more, and we'll keep bringing it out.
Well, the special thing about this, there's no membership dues. There's no secret handshake. You don't have to secret knock on the door to get in the room. You just had to have scored 1,000 career points as a man or a woman playing high school basketball in the state of Missouri. And that's the great thing about this is the numbers continue to climb. And we got a nice little addition from West Plains ladies scissors basketball from Scott Womack here over the past 24 to 48 hours. And he was kind enough to send us everything that he had, because there were 10 or 12 of those ladies on that list that he sent that we didn't have, including Andi Haney, who is the all-time leading scorer there at West Plains. So as I mentioned here in the third segment, got a chance to sit down with her and she scored more than 2,000 points. And what's remarkable is not only is she the all-time leading scorer, she's the all-time leading steals. She's number 3 all-time in assists, and she's number 7 in rebounds all time from the point guard position. So it was really great to catch up with her. Hadn't talked to her probably in 12 or 13 years the last time I interviewed her. So we certainly hope that you enjoy that.
And we are grateful that those were sent in to us. We now have 11 girls from West Plains. We only had 2 until we received that email. And here's a challenge to the West Plains community out there. I don't have any of the boys. I'm pretty sure there are some boys that scored 1,000 points. We don't have them yet. You know where those are? Let us know. You can find me at playingonsports@gmail.com. And so, first of all, again, I want to just state again, just stay to the end of this for the Missouri Milestones interview of the week. You're not going to want to miss this. And as Guy alluded, it's another great interview, this time with a lady who scored not 1,000, but 2,000 in her high school career. And you will enjoy that conversation, again, with Guy Newcomb and Andi Haney. West Plains deserves to be very proud. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsor.
The Walnut Street Inn is located in the heart of Springfield on historic Walnut Street. just blocks away from the Missouri State campus, Hammons Field, Great Southern Arena, and downtown Springfield. The Walnut Street Inn features newly remodeled rooms, breakfast served daily, and a friendly, accommodating staff. The Walnut Street Inn is also a great venue for private events. Book your stay or get more information at walnutstreetinn.com or call 417-864-6346.
Imagine a bank that goes where you go, creating seamless solutions for every step in your financial journey, allowing you to manage your money the way you want to, with a banking relationship that makes every day extraordinary. Imagine a world full of possibilities, always within reach. Central Bank. We do banking better.
The innocence of youth. Is there anything any better? But soon they'll be in high school and facing all the same challenges you faced. How to make friends, how to fit in, how to be cool. We want our children to have everything they'll need to live fulfilling and productive lives. Make sure the kids in your family are among the more than 290,000 participants here in Missouri who take part in high school sports or activities.
Hey, welcome back to the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage for Season 1, Episode 8 of Missouri Milestones, the podcast. Kent, tell us a little bit about what's going on right now.
So, well, we've talked a lot about where these 1,000-point scores have come from. Big schools, small schools, public schools, private schools, city, suburban, and rural. And we have talked about where they went after high school, places like the University of Missouri, Kansas, Colorado State, Kansas State, Vanderbilt, New York University, many colleges throughout the land. We now have so many on these lists that there are large groups in most every graduating class. Today, we'll take a look at the current leaders in some of the graduating classes. I say current leaders because while there won't be any more scoring in past years, we will uncover more and more of Missouri's history. And when we do, we will update our list continually into the future. So let's start with the boys. And the first one that sticks out to me is the earliest one that we have. We have one graduate in 1946. So therefore, he has the most. And that is Forrest Griffin, 1946 graduate of Lee Summit High. Anybody with one older than 1946, please send it in. He scored 1,124 points back just in the post-war era. And in a year that means a lot to me, it was the year I was born, 1956. Ken Quest in New Haven, he scored 1,769 points in his career that ended in 1956. Starting the new decade was Neil Tebenkamp out of Salisbury. 1960, he ended his career with 1,955 points. And in 1961, a familiar name. He leads the 1961 class, Bill Bradley. Crystal City, he scored 3,068 points. The first one to score 3,000 points in Missouri history. And here's one, a school that no longer exists. Graduate in 1964, Mike Austin. He graduated from Ethel High School. But before he left Ethel, he scored 1,968 points. Now, here's a unique situation, 1969. Boy, if you scored a lot of points in 1969, you might be further down on that list than you think. David Combs of Bradleyville leads the class in 1969 with 2,206 points. He's number one. But you know what? If you scored 1,979, you were sixth because they have 5 guys in 1969 in Missouri who scored more than 2,000 points. David Hackman of St. George High School, which was in Hermann, Missouri. He scored 2,134. Earl Miller of Purdy High scored 2,085. Bill Drake, Dockey, out of Priory High, he scored 2,075, and right behind him was Mike Grider of Climax Springs, he scored 2,053. Again, a lot of point scoring in that for the class of 1969. 1974, again, a year that's pretty personal to me. That's when I graduated from high school. I might say without 1,000 points. Terry Bogener out of Palmyra. He leads class in 1964, 2,261 points. And in 1976, here's a familiar name, Otto Porter, Scott County Central High, 2,151 points. And in 1980, another very familiar name, Bill Roundtree out of Wellsville, 3,243 points in his 4-year career. And let's see, 1986, another Wellsville grad, Fred Johnson, the all-time leader, 3,552. Now, you spoke with Fred not long ago, isn't that right, Guy?
Yeah, Fred and my family are very close. So I've spoken to him several times. We're trying to get him on right now, but that that gymnasium and the gym floor were just named after Bill Roundtree and Fred Johnson. They had a ceremony this past December naming that facility after him. I've talked with Bill. We're trying to set up an interview with both Bill and Fred. So that should be forthcoming here, and maybe get them both on at the same time. Don't know if that'll be possible. But, they graduated before I did. So but I can kind of figure this stuff out, but hopefully we can get them on, even if it's separately, but I'd love to get both of them on at the same time.
Well, you said they graduated before you. What was your high school year?
1988.
Well, let's go to 1988. I see two of them over 2,400. The highest we have so far out of the class of 1988 is Paul Worley. He's out of Oric High with 2,522 points. And another name that's familiar with a lot of people around the state of Missouri and throughout the country, Anthony Peeler, out of Paseo High, who, of course, went on to star at the University of Missouri and in the NBA. He scored 2,477 points in his Missouri high school career. Now we move up to 1992. We have Brad Hawker of Archie High, another one who scored over 3,038 points in his career that ended in 1992. Ryan Robertson, a 1995 graduate out of St. Charles West. Before he got to the University of Kansas, he scored 2,751 points in his Missouri high school career. That's the most for 1995 so far. And then another name that a lot of people are familiar with, Larry Hughes, Christian Brothers, 1997. He scored 2,152 points. And let's move on down here to 2005. Tyler Judd of Brona scored 2,165. If anybody out there has more than that, please let me know. And we go to 2010. John Gilliam of Paris High scored 2,500 points exactly before he went on to play at Central Missouri. Now we'll go on to 2016 out of the Barstow School, Jariah Horn, before he went on to the University of Nebraska, and I think he ended his career at the University of Tulsa. He scored 2,360 points as a Barstow Knight. And let's see, we'll go down here to 2020. Arlo Stump of Golden City, 2,734 points. Now we'll get to the very recent ones this last year. What we have, we don't have them all. So again, we are looking for help. If you know of anybody that is 1,000-point scorer that graduated this last May, we want those numbers. The highest that we have right now is Luke Walsh out of Vianney. He graduated in May, but not before he scored 2,614 points. And then we still have more who are adding to them next year. The class of 2026, we have Ethan Brown of Rolla High School. He has scored 1,857, with one more year to go. And we have two who are just sophomores this year who have already scored over the 1,000 points. Scotty Atkinson of Webster Groves, who as a sophomore was the Gatorade Player of the Year for the boys in Missouri this year. With 2 years to go and only 60 games, he has 1,223 points. And Chase Branham of Logan Rogersville is also a sophomore, scoring-wise, right behind him with 1,050 points. Now, those are the boys. Let's go look at the girls. The oldest girl that we have, the oldest class, goes back to 1957. And that was a different era in basketball, and generally, no, not for all that much scoring. But don't tell Betty Craig that, or don't tell her opponents that. Betty Craig at Southern Boone County, in her career that ended in 1957, scored 1,978 points. And then just the next year, Tess Stewart of Higbee scored 2,566, which was kind of frustrating for Carol Kennedy of Northwestern High in Mendon. She scored 2,141 and was only the second most in 1958. 1966, another Southern Boone County grad, Joyce Amsmeyer. She scored 3,036 points. Her career that ended in 1966, and she was the first one in Missouri to score 3,000 points. Sherry Horn of DeKalb in 1974 led that class with 1,015. And Maura Fitzgerald in 1978 scored 2,214 points. She's out of Visitation Academy. And then we look at 1982. Terry Jo Went of Palmyra is the most that we have for an 82 grad. She scored 2,135. Second on the list, 1982 grad out of Rockport, 1,762 points, is Kim Scammon. And Guy, you can tell us a little bit about Kim.
Yeah, I got to sit down with her here, early on in this Milestones, the podcast, and very pleasant and remembered with great detail, her high school days and part of her college days as well. She went to, I believe, Northwest Missouri State at the collegiate level and was very successful there. And then she had, I believe, either a granddaughter or a great niece that was added to the list here just recently this year, going over 1,000. And you mentioned, you talk about Mike Greider, in 1969 from Climax Springs. He's the father of Melissa Greider, who would go on and hold the record on the girls' side till Hannah Wilkerson broke it, and it's subsequently been broken a couple of times since then. You talk about Brad Hawker at where he played at Archie. Not only did he score more than 3,000 career points, he was also led the nation in touchdowns when he graduated. He was an unbelievable athlete, and most recently the head football coach at Pierce City High School. I got to visit with Brad several times during the football podcast that we do on Friday nights. Not this year, but in past seasons, I have caught up with him as well. And you start mentioning these names, and they're coming back as folks that I have interviewed. Arlo Stump, he graduated at Golden City. I drove down to I didn't know where Golden City was. I drove down there and interviewed, sat down with he and his coach when he went over the 2,000, a tremendous athlete there at Golden City. So a lot of these men and women on these lists, I've been able to sit down with, and they are on our YouTube page. So go and subscribe, and you can go through and look at all these interviews that we've been able to do here at the Missouri Sports Network.
Yes, Guy has talked to a lot of amazing athletes and had a lot of amazing conversations, and we're going to have more of those for everyone. Back in 1985 grad, Whitney Beckett out of Diamond High, she scored almost 2,000, 1,996. And just like with the boys in 1969, when they had 5 2,000-point scores in that one year, the girls, they also have 5 in one year. That was 1987. They were led by Tanya Soffer out of William Chrisman. In Independence, she scored 2,533. There's Charity Shira out of Fair Grove, 2,350. Mary Helen Walker out of Visitation Academy in St. Louis, 2,158. And out of Lockwood was Chris Pierce in 1987, scoring 2,087. And Lisa Sandbody, University of Missouri grads are familiar with that name. Lisa Sandbody out of Washington High in St. Louis. She scored 2,058 before she graduated in 1987. What a class, 1987 for the girls and 1969 for the boys. And here's Melissa Greider out of Marion C. Early and Marshfield. In 1991, she ended her career with 3,215 points. Then we move on down. Let's go to 1995. That's where we have Amy Rhea out of St. James High School. She scored 2,604 to lead her class in scoring. Getting into the into the 2000s, there's Terry Ann Wolford, class of 2000 out of Nixa High. She scored 2,267 to lead the class of 2000. And then we'll move down here to 2005, another 3,000-point scorer, Lauren Dubbert out of Madison High. She leads all 2005 graduates and almost everybody else, too, with her 3,048 points before she took her basketball show on the road to Missouri S&T. And then we have out of Bolivar in 2008, Casey Garrison, 2,744 points. Not much more than the number 2 out of the class of 2008, which was Ashley Fleming of Silex High School with 2,549. Now there are 4 ladies in that class that scored 2,000 or more. Also was New Haven grad Kathleen Shear, 2,432, and Western grad Kayla Rice with 2,046. And moved to 2010, Miss Hannah Wilkerson. She scored 3,724 points in her career that ended in 2010, and I know you have caught up with Hannah, Guy.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Got to watch Hannah play a lot of basketball, and in fact, her grandfather was on the school board when we first moved down here in Miller, Missouri, and got to meet them. He actually gave me my first dog when we moved out to the country. Hannah's grandfather did. We've got to interview her. Casey Garrison at one point worked for the Missouri Sports Network, helping us with scores. I got to see her play a lot, being right here in Bolivar, and she actually babysat my kids for a few times as well. So I've gotten to catch up with them as well. And you talk about Zamboni out of Washington High School, 1969 grad. Her grandfather invented the Zamboni machine, which cleans the ice for ice hockey games. It was either her grandfather or her great-grandfather is the story that was relayed to me. But that's where that name comes from, on the Zamboni machine. So a lot of interesting facts, that you're not going to hear anywhere else.
That's right. That's a terrific fact. Now let's look at the year 2015. This is a very interesting year. Kelsey Cleaton of Hillcrest High scored 2,103. Right now, that's the most we have out of the class of 2015. She's just ahead of Morgan Henderson out of Buffalo High, who scored 2,035. Now, I'm going to mention the third person here because she keeps getting her name out there more and more. A Rockbridge grad. Anybody guess who that is? Yes, it's Sophie Cunningham. 1,983 points out of Rockbridge, and then she went on to the University of Missouri, scored another 2,187, which is the most in Missouri history, for the University of Missouri. And now if you're not following the WNBA, I think you should. And of course, when you think of the WNBA, you're going to think of Caitlin Clark. And when you go and watch Caitlin Clark, guess who you're going to see? You're going to see Sophie Cunningham. They make a great duo out there on the court. Yes, Caitlin Clark's getting targeted a little bit out there. And in addition to playing some great basketball, Sophie Cunningham isn't going to take any of that from any of the other players in the WNBA. She is perhaps the story in the WNBA this year. And again, a 2015 grad out of Rockbridge, 1,983 career points. So then we go on down to the year 2020, Kylie Bess out of Poplar Bluff, 2,301 points before she goes on to Missouri State. And then that brings us into the year 2025. This year, the most that we have of graduates here in May is Adeline Henke out of Princeton High. We have her at 2,410 points. If anybody knows somebody who graduated in May that scored more than 2,410, please let us know. We'll get that updated. And the class of 2026, with one more year to go, we have several. We have maybe, I'm looking at the list. I'm going to say at least 20 who have scored 1,000 points. The most is Madison Carvajal. She has one more year to go at Tipton High. She has 1,638 points, which is just 2 points more than Addie Bourne out of Park Hill South, who has 1,636. And then in the year class of 2027, these are ladies who have only played 2 years of high school ball. Braylon Turnbow has 1,159, and then also scoring more than 1,000. Ella Goodrich of Knobnoster. And Braylon, by the way, is Arcadia Valley. And Ella Goodrich is over 1,000 out of Knobnoster. Out of Eugene is Riley Clithermes, and there's Kinley Luna out of Dora High, who's also scored more than 1,000 points with only half of her career in the books. So, Guy, there are just a lot of people that we've listed, some great names, and it takes a lot to lead your class in scoring in Missouri, and that's the way it's going to continue to be as Missouri keeps cranking out great basketball athletes. And we will record all these that score 1,000 points and bring them to everyone who watches and listens our podcast. And we're now ready for Block 3. In Block 3, you will hear and see Guy Newcomb as he gets into another great conversation. This one is with West Plains grad Andi Haney.
You bet. We'll be right back. There'll be a short preview, and then you'll be hearing from Andi Haney right after this preview. Keep it right here on the Missouri Sports Network, where everyone has a home field advantage. Andi Haney coming up next.
The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Hey, welcome back to Missouri Milestones, the podcast here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Brought to you by Doak Propane and the Bank of Billings. Well, once again, we welcome in one of our career 1,000-point scorers, and in this case, it's a 2,000-point scorer, and one of the top 2 or 3 young ladies I really enjoyed watching live playing high school girls basketball at West Plains Lady Zizzer, Andi Haney Beene. Andi, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Andi, take us back a little bit. You graduated in 2013. Take us back to that, that you started, every game in high school. Take us back to your memories. What do you remember about going back from your freshman year through your senior year? What are things that stand out to you?
Well, I always say that I had it easy because my sister was 2 years older than me. So even as a freshman, she had friends there that helped me feel welcome and get started and kind of tell me how it's done at West Plains. So it was kind of an easy transition from middle school to there. I'm trying to even think of freshman year. It's been so long ago, but I know we had a great group from 2013 to 2017 when I was there. And of course, Coach Womack, he was my coach all 4 years, and I enjoyed him and the effort that he put into us and just all the time he spent. And he always had us in, one thing I'm thankful for is he always had us in good tournaments, whether that's the pink and white, or I know in the summer we used to go up to Bolivar to that shootout, but he always had us in those Springfield school areas, which they were in our conference, but we were always competing against good people every night. And so I appreciated him putting us in those situations. Oh goodness, it's been so long. I remember probably my junior and senior year the best. One game I remember is that game against Republic at Rogersville. My college coach actually came to watch, and I think it was Republic, or it may have been a different game in that same district, but they held the ball just for the whole game. They wanted to slow it down, and we ran that matchup zone. And so I just remember, like, what in the world are we doing? So that was one game that's kind of funny that sticks out to me, just because we just kind of sat back in our zone and they kind of pulled the ball out.
Now, there was a double overtime game, and that may have been against Republic, where you guys were the 2 seed in that district and they were the 1 seed. That was double overtime. Can you take us back to that? Do you remember much about that contest?
A little bit. Some of the girls on Republic, I remember playing with them in the summer. So it was, of course, a flip playing against them, and they were great players. I think of Alice Heinzler, Alex, I can't think of her last name right now. But they were good players. So it was a hard fought battle. I think I have a picture of one of them up in my grill at half court still to this day. But the main thing I remember, which was the end of that game, was Hannah Riggs, which was one of my teammates. She made a little free throw jump shot, which was awesome because we won the game, but that wasn't really her game. So I think it even surprised her when she made it. So that was just a fun, competitive, what Missouri basketball is all about.
Now, in your entire high school career, as I understand it, you never missed a game.
I don't think so. One game that stands out as far as that goes is conference championship. I believe it was against Parkview at home at West Plains. It was our pink out night. And I could only make it through half of the day of school because I was so sick throwing up. But I think we still made it. We still won. That might have even been the night that they gave me one of my balls for making points, but it wasn't a question. I wanted to be there when we were playing.
And again, we're visiting with Andi Haney, Andi Haney Beene now, West Plains Lady Zizzer, the all-time career leading scorer in Lady Zizzer history, also the all-time leader in career steals, 3rd in career assists, and 7th in career rebounds. Andi, if you could go back, get in a time machine and go back and play maybe 1 or 2 of those games over again, maybe it's a game that got away from you that you felt like you should have won. Maybe it's that record-setting game where you passed Carenza Barr for the all-time. What are games that stand out that, man, I'd sure like to play that again?
I think one of them that got away from us for sure would be, I believe we played Waynesville my junior year of districts at West Plains. We played at the Civic Center, and I think we were favorite to win, maybe even win the whole districts, and we lost that first round game. And so that's definitely one that I wish we could have back, because I don't even remember the game now, but I just remember, it was not what we expected. So it sure was a shock when that happened. So that's definitely one I would want to go back to. I enjoyed playing with my sister. So probably one of my freshman or sophomore years to go back and get to play with her again. She was more of a shooter and I was more the point guard driver. So it was just fun when I could get her an open shot or something like that. So that was always fun. And then again, the pink and white, that was always a really, really fun tournament to play in. Just playing at all the different Missouri states. I know they've kind of switched it up a little bit, but just a really quality tournament. And I know there's probably a few games in there that we wish we could have back that we probably thought we should have won.
Yeah, and that's probably where I saw you play 4 or 5 games. Was there in that tournament? I would help seat that tournament,
Mhm.
and kind of help work that tournament as well. And there was a year. Now this has been more recent, where West Plains ends up the 5 seed, and I've got to call and let Coach Womack know. But I thought I told him, I said, "You guys are a 1 or 2 seed. You may win the whole tournament." They didn't win the tournament that year, but they won the state championship that year.
Mhm.
I believe Ashton Judd's sophomore junior year there. Tell us about maybe some of the players that you played with that you still maybe have contact with, and then maybe who were some of the biggest rivals as far as not teams but players that you really enjoyed matching up with.
Yeah. So some that stand out. Again, I've talked about my sister a lot. She had some friends. I know Paige Riley. She's married now, but she still lives in the area. I always enjoyed playing with her. Then Hannah Riggs, as I mentioned before, she was always such a hard worker, such a fun person to play with. I don't get to talk to her as much as I'd like to, but I keep up with her a little bit on social media, but her a little bit. And then I know Cass Johnson was such a big help my junior and senior year. I think she might have been there my sophomore year. I can't remember now, but I know she's still there in West Plains. So, and she went on to play at C of O, I believe. So I enjoyed playing with her. Hey, I forgot about her till just now, but Haley Menz, I enjoyed playing with her. She was always a tough one that would do anything that it took to win. So I enjoyed that. As far as rivals, oh man, kind of hard to think now. I know Lauren Aldridge, she was at
Brookfield.
Marshfield. Yeah. So I think of my rivals as being the ones I played with in the summer because we trained all year or all summer together, and then we ended up having to play each other. And so she just was a really all around good player. So it was always a tough matchup if we played her. As I mentioned earlier, Parkview, Aubrey Buckley. I also played with her, and she was just, I mean, even if she didn't have anybody else on her team, she was going to carry the team on her back. So that was always a tough matchup. Thinking of the pink and white, I don't even remember the specifics of the game or who even was there, but I remember a really tough Aurora team and just all around good team. So that was one as well. But if I had to pick a team rival, funny enough, I would probably pick Kickapoo since my brother ended up going there. That's funny, but they were always just a well-coached team and had their girls ready to go all the time. So I would say if I had to pick one team that we knew we had to come ready, it would probably be Kickapoo.
As I've talked to coaches around the area, and including Coach Womack, it was about the tenacity. And I asked Coach Womack, because I would see you dive into walls or into benches, out of bounds. And in Coach Womack's case, he said she did it in practice. I don't know how she never got hurt, but it made our team better because she was our best player. And if your best player is going to work in practice like that, you're going to be better. Where does that come from? Is that from growing up with an older sister that you really had to fight with? And I mean in a good way, but that competitiveness, where does that come from?
Well, it definitely comes from my dad. He always taught us, I mean, competitiveness is sometimes something you could teach, sometimes not, but he definitely had that in him. But he also just cultivated that competitiveness in me and my sister. And yeah, we had our moments and our fighting, so that probably helped. But for sure from my dad and just the effort and time him and my mom put into us, whether that's travel ball or I think I started when I was in kindergarten playing on a second grade team that my dad decided to coach for us. So I was always the smallest one, but he told me, I could get out there and still make a difference, diving on loose balls, getting those rebounds, things like that. So I think that's really the main place that it came from.
Coach Womack brought up something and was in a game where you had a 1-point lead, and I believe he said it was against Kickapoo. You got into the lane, hit the basket that would have put you up 3 and got an and 1, except they called a charge. And he said, ask her about that and if she remembers that. And he said, I've looked at it on film 1,000 times and there's no way it was a charge.
I don't remember it, but that sounds like me. bull in the china closet, as some would say. So I'm sure even if it wasn't a charge, it probably looked like one. I'll go ahead and give it to the refs after all these years.
Well, he said it ended up waving the basket off and Kickapoo came down and hit a buzzer beater to beat you. And he said we would have had a 4-point lead if she doesn't get that charge. Same time machine. If you could go back to that Andi Haney, who's an 8th grader, and give her some advice based on what you know now, what advice would you go back and give yourself when you were in the 8th grade based on what you know now as an adult?
Oh, that's a good question. I think just make every moment count, because when you get old and you're a has-been and you're out of shape and all the things that I am now, just really enjoying every moment, whether that be a tough practice, whether that be a weekend that you're spending, playing basketball, just to cherish those memories, and also just to enjoy it with your teammates and your coaches and all of those people, because it does go by fast, and just to work hard and put everything you can into it.
And what, just for those out there that maybe didn't get to see you play and don't know much about you, and again, we're visiting with Andi Haney Beene, 2013 graduate of West Plains. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. You're still in the area. Obviously, you're married. What is family life like, and what are you doing professionally?
Yeah, so I went to Harding University afterwards and got to play basketball with my sister again. And then after that, I got a business degree. After that, I've had a few different jobs, but currently my husband and I live in Walnut Ridge, Arkansas, and he's a basketball coach and I am just teaching at the school. And we have a little 1.5-year-old son, so he keeps us busy and on our toes. But when we're not doing that, my little brother Isaac is still pursuing his dream. So we've watched him play at Austin Peay, and then he's going to go play overseas in Spain. So a lot of our time is still spent with basketball.
Very good. Well, it was an honor to get to visit with you and catch up with you. I know it's been a long time since we were sitting in that little corner at the Bolivar gym during the Bolivar shootout and interviewing you and some of your teammates there. But always enjoyed watching you. As I mentioned, maybe top 3 high school girls basketball players that I've enjoyed watching in person. And I really appreciate this time and catching up. And thank you for being generous with your time.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
And I have one more question, and I'm a mandated reporter for the Missouri State Highway Patrol. And we started the Be Safe, Be Smart, Be Here Tomorrow campaign 18 years ago. My question is, do you always wear your seatbelt?
I try to always wear my seatbelt.
Very good. Very good. Well, Andi, again, congratulations on being part of the Missouri Milestones career 1,000 point scorers. There's no membership fees to be part of this club. There's no secret handshakes. They've had to have scored 1,000 career points, and you scored 2,077. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Hey, and we'll be back after these messages here on the Missouri Sports Network. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'll have the avocado toast minus the avocado.
So, toast.
Yeah. Everything is so expensive these days. Hey, Chevy gets it. That's why they're keeping prices down to earth, like on the most affordable EV in America. A super strong and capable Chevy truck. And a high-tech Chevy SUV. Why is Chevy making affordable vehicles connected by OnStar? It's so together we can do more.
We believe banking should make your life greater. It starts with affordable options to meet today's needs and tomorrow's dreams. From smart account options that fit your style to flexible loans for what comes next. It means convenient ways to access and manage your money whenever you need it and wherever you're headed. Most of all, it takes great support. Someone you can count on for trusted guidance and to be there for you every step of the way. Great options, great convenience, great support for life. Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters.